idea that if Canada had a wall, I wouldn't exist. The melting pot of Canada, the promise we've always made to everybody around the world has been that of inclusion. If you want to come to this country, regardless of race and religion, and create a family and build a business, as my Lebanese grandmother, Akabra Bukalam, said she was a very strong, matriarchal Lebanese woman, and she came here with her husband and started a clothing factory in Montreal. She only ever spoke Arabic her whole life. Her husband learned French, but we lived in Saint Adele until I was 8 years old, and she was from Asbaya, Beirut, and she loved apples. She loved apples. She grew her orchards like huge. She was very into growing apples. That's what her love was, gardening and apples. So I had to work for her as soon as I could pick apples. I must have been like 5 years old when it started. And she was very strict. She would beat me with a stick, I'm not kidding, to pick apples on the weekends and during the week. But in our family, which I now appreciate now, Lebanese, the tradition on Sunday is the matriarch, if it's the grandmother and she's alive, prepares a meal starting at 5 in the morning. And it's at 6 at night, the entire family has to show up or you burn in hell. If you don't show up, even if you're the girlfriend or boyfriend of one of the people, you burn in hell. And I like that. I really like that. So that molded my view of how the world should work. And I think Canada's the essence of that. Those family values, those inclusive values. Trump doesn't espouse that, you know that. That's not what he's all about. In my mandate, we're going to keep these borders open and we're going to actually embrace people with the families. I'll guarantee the passports.
So you don't agree with the immigration policy of Trump's?
No.
But do you...
99.9% of everybody in every country is a good person. 99.99%. So why penalize the whole country? Tolerate it at all.
Okay.
Zero. There's no tolerance for that. Zero, zero, zero. That is, you can't even let the virus of that idea into this country.
Okay.
Job ban, you know, the women's right to
That's
wear.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's a right, it's not an issue. I mean, it's,
You know,
why would anybody have a problem with that? I don't even understand that. I mean, wear whatever you want. I totally agree. But you have to understand something. When I was 8, my father died, my original Irish father, and my mother married an Egyptian that was in school in Champaign-Urbana, and he joined the ILO, Greek Orthodox Egyptian. George Kenawati is his name. And every 2 years the rest of my life, I started in Cambodia, Tunisia, Ethiopia, Cyprus, France, Hong Kong. Every 2 years we moved. I met Haile Selassie in Addis Ababa.
Wow.
I met Pol Pot in Phnom Penh. I've lived in every culture in Asia, in Saudi Arabia, and Africa. I don't care what people wear. I mean, are you kidding? Like this is a thing. The reason I have those
That's
views,
what Canada is made of.
of course,
It's multicultural.
but this is my point. Because I was that age, it became normal for me because I learned it that way. There was no other. That's the issue. If you don't have education, you have bias.
Yes.
That's the problem. The most important aspect to this and how you keep that virus out is in education.
Thank you.
It's when you're a very young person. That's the key. When you're young, that you learn the respect of every religion, every person. That's the only way to do it. And once useful, I haven't read the bill yet. I've heard about it, but it doesn't solve the problem. You got to start at 4 and 5 years old because you can't ban hate if the seed is already implanted. I mean, you can't do it. There are people here that have racist tendencies, and the reason is they grew up with parents that embedded that in them. And that's the only way to eradicate that is to actually make it a mandate within a public school that you learn about other cultures and religions. I am 100% for that. It'll be helpful to penalize that when it's caught. I get it, but it's not look, I'm going to support it. It's not the solution.
Yeah.
You have to, the only way is if you have the tolerance built into you when you're young. There's no other way to do it. I'd be happy to support an issue. You know,
After the Quebec shooting.
well, that's very unfortunate, you know, but here's the fact, I was in military college for 3 years. I am a marksman, I was when I was 16.
Right.
I stay au courant on all the weaponry, I'm still a marksman, I'm 62. I can shoot a 50 cal, I'm really good at it. I'm proud of that, I have no reason to be making excuse of it. That was a mistake, because my campaign has been growing geometrically. I have all kinds of people on board now, hundreds of them.
Right.
I take responsibility, 100%, but that is not who I am.